Beetlejuice. Hi guys, today we're going to talk about the Beetlejuice brand new movie. In the background I have NES music of Beetlejuice playing. They had an NES game called Beetlejuice. So we're going to have that on in the background. So try not to mind that. Hopefully you like it. But this movie got good review scores, believe it or not. A 77% from the critics and 84% from the audience. There's a lot to love here. And enough that maybe I'll check it out. I know I got a lot of movies I'll be watching soon. I can't see them all. I'm only one guy. So I have to rely heavily on what the critics and fans are saying. And Beetlejuice is a property that I haven't been too keen on. I'm not a super fan or anything, but I'm certainly well aware of Beetlejuice. And so, without further ado, let's get into these reviews. But first, please remember to hit the subscribe button, like the video, and share it out to everybody. Thank you all very much for watching. Jonathan Iketon with a fresh tomato, a 4 out of 5, saying, Beetlejuice is like seeing old friends and a warm reminder that sometimes you can go home again. A fresh tomato, a 3.5 out of 5 from Kevin Carr, saying things get off to a clunky start, but the film delivers the off-kilter goth humor we all want without relying solely on nostalgia. That's important. To actually be a movie of your own making, not just relying on nostalgia. Jeffrey Harris, a 411 Mania, gave it a rotten tomato, a 5 out of 10, saying the sequel operates as a cavalcade of rough ideas that never coalesce. The actors deliver charismatic performances, especially Keaton and O'Hara, but the story constantly meanders and flounders with so many superfluous characters and subplots. Victoria Alexander from filmsreview.com gave it a fresh tomato, saying, I'm looking forward to Gone with the Wind 2, Citizen Kane 2, and Some Like It Hot starring Taylor Swift. But please, no Ocean's 14. I have no idea what that review has to do with Beetlejuice. That is a terrible review. Michael Medvedev, with a fresh tomato, 3 out of 4, saying it may not quite double the fun, but it's certainly a display of surprising friskiness for a mischievous spirit who's been among the dead for so many years. Kevin Ronson giving it a perfect 4 out of 4 fresh tomato, saying, capturing the random zany spookiness of the original, the sequel feels slightly more mature yet also more experimental. Not everything works, but it has enough of what fans of the original want. It's almost too much, which is exactly right. I seriously doubt this movie's perfect. Okay, guys? But Kevin really likes it. I'm not even going to say his name, but it's from CB Radio. Gave it a fresh tomato, saying there's something comforting in seeing Tim Burton exercising his demons, bringing everyone back together and conjuring up some of the warmth that was in the original. Todd Jurgensen, with a rotten tomato, says, a new array of amusing, macabre quirks and innovative creature designs keep his new installment endearing for a while, but when the focus shifts away from the spirited title character, it tends to fall flat. So they're saying it goes away from Beetlejuice a little too much for his liking. Louis Bond, with a fresh tomato, saying Beetlejuice marks the rebirth of the Tim Burton we all love. Has Beetlejuice is freed from his captivity. He gives free rein to his madness, Having fun with Aplum and without any limits. Alright. Cody Leach. I watch his YouTube channel, by the way. He's pretty good. He gives it a fresh tomato, 3.5 out of 5, saying this sequel brings a fun dose of nostalgia while never resorting to pandering callbacks. Keaton is having a blast revisiting this character while Burton embraces the zany practical effects. Too bad there are so many plot lines, many of which go nowhere. And so, yeah, if you kind of suspend disbelief and just go in to have a good time, you're going to. But if you dive even a little deep into this, you're probably going to be like, well, what about this? What about that? That's what Cody Leach is saying. Aaron Peterson with a 6.5 out of 10, a fresh tomato from the Hollywood Outsider, saying it lives up to the lofty expectations of fans, but newcomers beware as it might be a tad over your heads. If you're completely unfamiliar with the original, Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder pick up over 30 years later with nearly a blemish. Yeah, I definitely think you got to watch the original to appreciate the sequel. That would be my guess. Mike McGrannon with a fresh tomato, 3 out of 4. Saying director Tim Burton makes a massive return to form, shrewdly embracing honest-to-goodness weirdness again. Jason Adams with a fresh tomato, saying, its bones may creak and ache and pop out of place here and there. Our beautiful baby in the black and white stripes has still got it. Simply put, this movie rules. Carlos Boyero with a fresh tomato, saying, as always, in this man's cinema, there is creative imagination. A notable work in the creation of the very strange creatures, makeup, protagonism, special effects, and costume design. So, crediting a lot of the effects here. Carolyn Madden with a rotten tomato, saying, sitting through this movie felt like going to an amusement park as a grown-up. The rides are now worn and clunky and you just want to get off. This movie is all flashing lights and bright colors but little substance. You know, there's probably some truth here. Like, this movie's probably better for kids, and for adults it's probably just hitting nostalgic beats. But in reality, does it actually hold up as a movie, has something that adults can enjoy? I don't know. I feel like this is definitely a good movie if you have kids and you want them to enjoy it and you're kind of enjoying it through their eyes and reliving your own childhood. Dan Scully with a fresh tomato, saying one of the funniest films of 2024. That's not saying much, Dan, because other than Deadpool and Wolverine, what other movie has been funny in 2024? You have to really stretch out for comedy. And if you're going to Beetlejuice for just the comedy, and that's the best you got besides Deadpool, we're in a comedic drought in the movie theater. Mostly because of wokies wanting you to not touch certain subjects, and just because that's not where the genre is. Comedies just don't play in theaters. It really sucks. I miss the comedy age. We had a golden comedy age in the 90s and the 2000s. I want that back. Because ever since the 2010s, I've been strictly pretty much watching horror movies in film, in theater. So, I'd like to mix it up with some comedies more and more. That's why I watched, what's that movie where they were just friends or whatever? You know, I try to watch some comedies. And then they don't make money. So, Denise Panaziak gave it a fresh tomato 8 out of 10, saying despite having a resolution of the final conflict too quickly and leaving the interesting character of Dolores somewhat blurred, it manages to entertain and satisfy the public because the feature film is constantly full of originality and trademarks. Nelson Acosta with a 3 out of 5, barely a fresh tomato, saying this movie is all eye candy, but will make you laugh enough that you might forget it for having such a slow first half. Yeah, I mean, attention spans are shortened, and if you have a slow first half, some people are just going to check out. They're just going to check out. Ryan Cyrick gave it a B+, fresh tomato. The Beetlejuice universe still has no rhyme or reason, and it's all for the better. Why are we all charmed and amused by a vulgar, sexist chaos demon? Because they belong on screen and not in real life. Oh my god. Preach to somebody else. Are you serious? You're gonna use a Beetlejuice review to preach your morals? Your lefty morals here? Like, come on, dude. And then you're gonna give the movie a good score anyway. Like, whatever. Bill Goodicoots from the Arizona Republic with a fresh tomato 3.5 out of 5, saying it won't take you anywhere new, particularly, but let's face it, that's not what most people will take the trip for. I agree. It's catering to its audience. It knows what it is. Adam Graham with a Rotten Tomato, a D+, saying this movie only proves how much of the unicorn the first film was. Pairing the right filmmaker at the right time with the right cast and the right material. But this movie, by comparison, is dead on arrival. I don't quite see it that negatively. Eric Estrada with a fresh tomato saying, a strange movie, and while somewhat aimless, it's not disposable. It's not a Rotten Tomato. Dulcie Pierce from The Sun UK with a Rotten Tomato 2 out of 5, saying, the constant rotation of goofiness and gore becomes tiresome without the support of a solid storyline backbone to hold it up, and it shows none of the cultish brilliance it once did. What makes a movie a cult classic? Could we ever do that again? I don't know. Maybe cult classics could only happen in the past, but I feel like when you got movies like The Crow and Beetlejuice attempting again to be a cult classic, that just doesn't work. It doesn't make sense anymore to label anything a cult classic for the most part. I think that there's two camps when it comes to this movie so far on these reviewers. They either don't care that the plot's weak and like it anyway for reasons they expect, or there's people that were wanting more and they didn't get more, so they throw a Rotten Tomato at it. And that's sort of the two camps we got. Most are going on the fresh tomato side. Like I said, 77% audience score, or review score, 84% audience score. So they're pretty close together. I don't think the critics are too far off from the truth, from what the audience believes. So that's usually good to see some simpatico there. Thomas Guerrero with a 4.5 out of 5 fresh tomato, saying, an incredulous sequel film full of hilarious nods to the 1988 original and fun, eccentric references to pop culture. We are undoubtedly witnessing the return of the best Tim Burton. The best Tim Burton may be an overstatement. Chris Wasser with a 3 out of 5 fresh tomato, barely, saying, this movie is not without its charms, but Burton's lens is too clean, his direction too ordinary, and the film lacks dusty, old-school texture, gritty, innovative spark of his greatest hits. So you got disagreement on how good of a work this is for Tim Burton. I wouldn't say it's his best necessarily based on what I'm seeing. Wouldn't say it's his worst either. Rick Ramatio with a fresh tomato, saying the pace is lively, but it tends to leave plot cohesion behind by the wayside. At least Jenna Ortega's performance as Joy is a joy to watch, as she perfectly hits the right note as the only daughter of Lydia Dietz could. Yeah, I mean, who else could have played that role? Caroline Seed with a fresh tomato. While the story may barely hang together, there's at least an overall sense that people involved in this movie want to be there, which isn't always the case for a legacy sequel. So that's good. You know, that she sees that the actors tried. She sees that they put care and effort into it. One of the common criticisms I am seeing, even from the fresh tomato scores, though, is that the plot doesn't hold together really well, and that is what gives me pause from just watching the movie. I feel like I'm going to wait for this to come to a streaming service, watch it bargain bin style, and just enjoy it at home, I think, more than I would in the theater. I think that's the play here. I think it's a wait, unless you're a super fan. Wait for a streaming service. Natalia Zenko gave it a 3 out of 5 fresh tomato, saying Keaton, Ryder, Ortega, and O'Hara shine in the central roles, while Belushi and Thoreau make the most of each other's scenes, but it is William Dafoe as the police chief from Beyond who gets the most comical opportunities. Dark Skyland with a fresh tomato. This movie is a long-awaited sequel of The Ghost with the most. Delivers comedic beats despite some tonal misfires. It's not so much bad as it is commitment shy. Has reluctant and scared has shrunken head Bob. So basically they're saying the movie really didn't want to say too much. It didn't want to take too many risks or chances or ruin anything from its legacy that it previously had. Alci Rafingo says this movie is more about a director not only connecting back with the style that defined his early work, but making it feel new again. A lot of conflicting things between these reviews. Some say it's too nostalgic, some say it's new, some say it's good, some say it's bad. We're seeing it all over the place here. One thing I've noticed, common theme here, is though the plot doesn't hold together really well. That's sports criticism. Its best great thing people have been saying about it is it's just a fun movie, which is good to have from time to time. But anyway, guys, I think I'm going to wrap this up. And so anyway, thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you plan on going to see Beetlejuice. And I'll see you all in the next one. Peace. I'm out. Have a good one.